morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and we talk about everything North Fork. Our guest today is a local chapter of an organization called Food Rescue, and they are doing amazing work. I am looking forward to chatting with them. In a nutshell, you'll hear from them, but what they do is try to reduce food waste and rescue food that's usable and pick it up from places that are able to donate it and bring it to people that could use it. So it's such an awesome organization. Tracy may or may not join us today. She is in New York City at the New York City. One of the things that in such a large scale food and wine festival, there is a lot of excess food, and they too do have plans in place to rescue the food and be able to reuse it. So she definitely wanted to hop on. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning, Sunita.
She definitely wanted to hop on and chat about what they do at the Food and Wine Festival. So, ooh, you're flipping over, Stephanie. The phone was great the way it was.
Okay, here we go.
I have to share that we were trying to figure out some tech issues because both of you and you, Stephanie, are not very active on Instagram, and a lot of people sort of this is their first time that they go live.
Yes, and also I've never been on a podcast before. So.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, me neither until I started this. Well, but you made it. It's here, and I guess while we wait for Anne. I think I don't see Tracy yet. I don't know if she's hopping on, but I do see Penny, who is supposed to try and guest co-host with me. And I don't see Anne yet. But you must be pretty excited that you made it on here before.
Well, yes. Oops, wait. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Penny. How are you?
I'm great.
Hey, Penny.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
This is going to be a fun show because, like I said, Tracy wanted to try to be on from New York. You were going to be on as Slow Food, but here you are as Penny Schwartz.
My technical abilities aren't that great, and all of a sudden it just showed up as permaculture Penny. I'm like, all right,
well,
this
I'm
is what
so
it is.
excited to have you as guest co-host. Do you want to do the weather report today?
Oh, I would love to. I'm looking out my window and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful North Fork day. Vegetables are still growing. Things are green and lovely and the sun is shining. So what a perfect day.
For those of you who don't know Penny, first of all, she's a friend of mine. Second of all, she is the chair at Slow Food East End. And third and most importantly, she is a gardener and a follower of permaculture. I don't know a lot about it, but I know it involves living off the earth and having, you'll explain that better. But since Tracy couldn't be on in the middle of a festival, we figured Penny was the perfect co-host to help us further the conversation about food rescue, because you grow your own food.
I do grow my own food, and for those of you who know me, I'm passionate about food and passionate about what they do for food rescue. I think it's amazing. I think it's something that is so necessary on the North Fork, and I'm so glad, Stephanie and Ann, that you champion this and really will make a difference to this North Fork community.
While we wait for Ann to hop on, Stephanie, why don't we start? Tell us what Food Rescue is and how you came about to start this local chapter on the East End.
It was rather serendipitous. A friend of mine told me that there was a woman who had gotten involved. It's a national organization, and its headquarters are in Connecticut, Stamford. And this woman, whose name is Maria Pietromonaco, had worked for Long Island Harvest and wanted to deliver food in that way from places that had to places that need. But my friend said she needed some help, that she really had gotten in to do more than she wanted to. So I met with her, and it was just a great mission. It's just a great mission. We want to keep food out of landfills and put them on plates. And so meeting with her and Holly, who's our outreach coordinator, turns out, we talked about what we needed, and we needed a social media person, we needed an organized person. I was like, oh, I know just the person, because Ann and I we'd known each other and become quite good friends, having been co-chairs of the Cast Capital campaign. So we knew we worked well together. And Anne very graciously said she would join the team, and she's just invaluable. So she and I have sort of, taken the reins to get the thing off the ground, and we've made incredible progress since August. I really want her to try to get on here. So she's got all the figures and.
Well, I know Penny can speak for Anne because Penny, you have a long relationship with Anne. She too was involved with Slow Food East End and was a chair at some point, correct?
Was the chair, and talk about just getting the most fabulous person to help run something. And is it? I mean, Stephanie, you as well, with the great work you did for Cast. I just knew when I saw your names that you were taking this on, that it's just going to be an absolute success and make a huge difference. And just look at the community we're in. I really believe we're in a very generous community, and our farmers are amazing, and people involved in the food industry out here are amazing and willing to give and willing to help. It just needed someone like the two of you to coordinate something like this.
I agree with you about that.
Drill down a little bit, Stephanie, into what it is that Food Rescue does. Like, what kind of food are you looking for, and what do you do?
So we started with the farmers and the excess produce that would go to waste or hopefully to landfills, but it's a lot of work for farmers to put their food in landfills and to compost. Yeah. So in effect, it's easier. We're helping the farmers deal with the produce that's excess, and we are then bringing it to food pantries who have people of food insecure, and the need has grown tremendously. So we've organized a group of volunteers. We have a lot of just incredibly lovely people who are committed to this. They will sort of adopt a farm. We have gotten a bunch of farmers. Now we work with Cast because Cast also has relationships with farmers, and so we're sort of complementing what Cast's relationships are with the people and the retailers and everything. We help them get food, but we don't engage with any of the donors that would give to Cast. So we're looking for other donors, and we want to try to help the Riverhead area because Cast deals with the town of Southold. And the town of Riverhead sadly doesn't have a Cast. So, they have some food pantries, quite a few actually. And we have organized groups of volunteers that will go to the farmers, and I'll tell you more about who else we need because that's where the need has grown tremendously, to deliver on the day. You go from one to the other to the food pantry. That does have some logistical problems because.
How does it work? Does the farm just call you on, say, Monday and say, hey, we have excess cabbage, come and grab? Like, how does it actually work?
Okay, so we have established relationships between volunteers and donors. So on Mondays, Cookie goes to 7-Eleven and Susan goes to WOWAC. And so they know that on Mondays, Garden of Eve, or, the people who pick up have a relationship with the farms. When the farms have something, they text the people and they say, we have something. Then the people, because we have a list of pantries, and when they're open, we'll know where to bring it. Sometimes, they have more food than a pantry might need that day, and so they'll bring it to somewhere else. We've also, do you know those little food boxes that are outside of churches?
Yes. Oh, yes. So they're like, just for someone who's watching doesn't know, the East End has a whole bunch of book libraries where you can drop their little bird box, or larger than bird boxes, obviously, where you can drop off books. But around town, we also have a few of those boxes set up where people can drop off canned goods and shelf-stable items so people can pick up food.
That's right. So places like Goldberg's, who's been very generous with bagels, and Blue Duck with other pastries and so forth, which don't need refrigeration. We can bring them to those places. We don't get a lot of canned goods, but that would be something else that we could put in those boxes.
What about restaurants? Can you pick up from restaurants?
In the beginning, we talked about that, and it would be really great, and we'd love to do that. But the issue with restaurants and caterers is that the way it's done is you pick up the food and bring it immediately to the pantry. So the restaurants don't know they need to have anything. What we need is individual portions. If there were a restaurant or a caterer that could put the food in an individual container and refrigerate it until Monday, because most of these things are weekends, we would love to then go and get the food
So
and
this is really valuable information, Stephanie, because restaurants probably do have food, but I think the part about taking the takeout containers and pre-portioning
yes.
a meal, if you will, is that what you're looking for? Or
Yes, that's what we need, because we don't have the ability to do that. We don't have storage space, and each volunteer would have to bring, X number of containers and then bring it home and put it in their refrigerator and then bring it when the pantry's open. So that's the logistical problem. Yeah.
just because these comments are going to go away, I have a question. Someone is asking, do you ever drop excess at Riverhead Senior Center?
No, that is not currently one of our drop-offs. We do the Salvation Army, St. John the Evangelist, Open Arms, Maureen's Haven. We have a bunch, but not the senior center. We could look into that.
Okay, so I guess follow-up question. How does someone either sign up to be a donor, or how does someone sign up to be a recipient?
The recipients don't really sign up. They can contact. We now have actually cards with our contact information. They can just go to Food Rescue North Fork, New York, and contact us there, and we will then reach out and get connected and try to figure out how we can work out with whether it's a donor or a recipient. And we have a lot of wonderful volunteers that way as well.
It's really great because there is access, and the fact that it's not going to a landfill, that people can use it. And you're right, there is a huge insecurity issue everywhere, but let's just focus on the North Fork and Riverhead. So to be able to fill that need with fresh produce is fabulous.
We really are
I'm so
trying,
thrilled
but
with what
now the problem is happening that the fresh produce is coming to an end. So now we're ramping up. The mission is to try to get prepared prepackaged foods from places that they can't sell it, but it's edible. It's safe to eat, but they can't sell it. So now we're trying, for instance, the 7-Eleven in Southold and Mattituck has been amazing. The owner there, Greg Calcio, has been just great. And it's 3, sometimes 4 times a week, we pick up a lot of food. Sandwiches, salads, yogurt, we need dairy, that kind of stuff. It's still usable, but they can't sell it. So we are looking for more types of places that have that food for winter. And also, sadly, the homeless population has grown a lot on the Fork. You wouldn't believe that, in the beautiful surroundings and everything we have that's so gorgeous, but there is a large homeless population. They don't have the facilities to cook the produce or, the other food. So the prepared food is really what we need now.
And you want that portion, like you said, right? So also tell me about the volunteers. How can someone help out? Obviously, you need people to pick up and drop off, but what, as you sort of growing, what is it that you need, and how can the community help?
So we do need someone to go to our email address. They can sign up on the U.S. as well for the North Fork, but it's Food Rescue North Fork New York .rescue at U.S. Rescue.
I'll tag them in the follow-up.
Yes, do that. It'd be easier for them to see. It's a very it looks complicated, but it's obvious when you see what it is. So, and actually we have had in the past 2 months amazing success. I believe, and Anne has all these figures, and she has so much of this information.
I know, unfortunately, Anne, she's in Southold, I think, or close to, and the Wi-Fi or internet or Instagram.
Yeah. But I believe since
and saying you're doing a great job.
The beginning of August, I think we're over 4,200 pounds of food we've rescued, which is quite amazing.
Wow.
We've
4,500 pounds, Anne says. So you
knows all this stuff. And then last Wednesday, 2 nights ago, we had an event to thank all our volunteers and donors. One of our volunteers, Ann McElroy, has a bed and breakfast in
which I had the pleasure of taking a quick peek at. It is gorgeous. It is such a such a North Fork bed and breakfast,
Mhm.
I want to say. There are chickens running around at the
Yeah.
backyard and a garden. Penny, you would like literally just move in. I don't know if you've been to this bed and breakfast. It was
It's
beautiful.
I have,
gorgeous.
So,
but I
It
know
was,
her. I'll
it's
have
just
to go.
lovely. And she has this lovely barn that we decorated and had about 25 donors and volunteers come, and we wanted to thank them. McCall's was so generous and donated wine. And Ann and Bruce donated their facilities, and people came and just we met, we thanked, we drank, we enjoyed. It was really great. So
that's what's so awesome about the North Fork
That sounds
community is that
yes,
everybody gets
absolutely.
together and,
yep.
shares and uplifts and supports. It's awesome.
So,
So I guess like
I'm sorry,
delis
what was
would be
that?
good too.
Delis, yes,
Delis,
I
as
have a
far as
list. I made a list of delis and 7-Elevens in the Riverhead area. And Ann and Holly and I are going to divide that list up and go to these places and try to solicit them. Yeah. And anybody who has
yeah.
connections with these places, if you frequent a deli, you know the owner. If you go to a 7-Eleven to get your coffee, you know the people. That would be the best, because then we wouldn't be cold calling. We
Are
have
you
a
are
face.
you have you reached out to Wendy's? I mean, I don't know her personally, but just from what I see, she is very involved in the community and is always giving to every single thing that I see. So I don't know if you're working with
I'll
her.
put her down on the list, and I'll make sure that she's not already, she may already be giving to Cast, but I'll check it out. Thank you.
And something that someone has to do on a regular basis, or is it also on demand? Like, let's say she's already doing it somewhere, but in certain seasons or certain times she does have more than. Can it also be just?
Absolutely. She can absolutely just call or contact us if she has extra. We have had actually several different emergencies. Cornell had, I don't know, having 21 cartons of tomatoes that they had extra, and so we actually, Maria, who was great at this, mobilized the troops, and they went and picked up the tomatoes. They brought it to Southampton East End Food, who was another great partner, and they processed it, and I believe it's going to be going to the Riverhead schools. So that was one, once in a lifetime sort of thing. And then I think East End Food then had some tomatoes and peaches. And so we mobilized again and got them out. So it's not, while we love to have the regular pickups, we're certainly more than happy to help in an emergency when there's some kind of overage.
And
It's great. It's great because there's such a need, and we're in such a bountiful area that to use what we got is so fabulous. And there's so many farms and potatoes and even though the winter
I
is
dropped me.
we're good.
even though the winter is sparse and growing, there is still the opportunity maybe for root
So
vegetables or carrots
that's a
or
good point, but
something like that.
the other night, some of our donors, so a couple of them, Garden of Eve and Wowak, um, who's it? There were three of the lovely, lovely people. Oh, Rose Andrews of Andrews Farm. They're just wonderful people, came along with the East End Food and Cornell. And their point is that the root vegetables you can keep. They don't spoil.
You
So
can.
there isn't as much opportunity
Right.
for those kinds of vegetables to be distributed.
That is, they can keep
Mhm.
them in the spring.
So
That
we
is
are going to
true.
look for the kinds of foods that are prepackaged, and your idea about delis is terrific. I don't know if there's any other place that has that kind of food. Oh, I know. There was a place we saw in Riverhead, Healthy Direct. They do, grab and go kind of things. I don't know if they'll have anything, but anywhere you can think of,
Right.
we welcome the suggestions.
And what about big box stores, like something
Mhm.
like a Costco? Do they
Oh, they
have the
do.
ability to
They do. And they
donate
actually
and
already
have
donate to the larger food banks. So Long Island Cares and Long Island
gotcha.
Harvest pick up from those places. And I know that Long Island Harvest has a warehouse at the Riverhead Cider House where they have all the food there. And then the
Ah,
pantries can go there, I
gotcha.
think, twice a week and pick up food from that. So they. Yeah.
So awesome
Well,
to
that's good.
hear, and I think that was one of the reasons why Tracy wanted to hop on today, because like I said, she is involved in large production. But the fact that there are large organizations already doing that,
Yeah.
and you're filling that perfect space between, because we don't have a lot of big box stores here, but we do have a lot of farms and we do have a lot of independent businesses,
That's right.
and they don't have the resources or the supply to sort of hook up with one of these larger organizations. So it's so great that you're willing to pick up on demand if it might only be like 10 meals.
That's
Why not?
right.
So
That's right.
great.
And we do have the volunteers. And as Penny said, the greatest thing about the North Fork is the community. It's just a wonderful, when Ann and I were co-chairing the capital campaign, we were absolutely overwhelmed with the generosity of this community. You two were part of that and helped an awful lot, both of you, with that campaign. So it's great.
Well, again, I think, like you said, the beauty of the North Fork community too is all organizations, albeit they're different in different ways, but we all really are serving the greater good, which is helping this fabulous community and realizing that there are people in need. And what can we do to help the people we need? I'll speak for us.
Yep.
Slow Food. We have Flower Power, where we're fresh made bread to the community. We're teaching kids how to garden, and then you help fill that need in the excess from the farms, and then the need in the community. Everybody just
And then there's one
so
more
well
step is
together.
the composting. And we have the organization that does that as well. So we are like a whole circle, which is great. It's a really,
I mean,
We
like,
are.
one of the reasons,
Yep.
there's so many reasons why I'm grateful and glad to be part of Slow Food. But as Penny was touching upon, there's a lot of collaboration over competition, right? So isn't like, oh, this is what I do, so I'm not going to pitch in and help what you do. Because we collectively at Slow Food and Food Rescue did a joint, I guess not a launch, but at our Slow Hour, we introduced everybody. And then we did the same with the composting. I feel
that's
like
right.
we're all living off the same earth and just trying to figure out
Yeah.
how all of us can help.
Correct.
So if the food is not usable, right? Because what you're doing is taking the usable food so someone else can eat it. But then there are other composting opportunities, or there are other ways to keep it out of the landfill that the pilot program that's trying to do. I forget the name of it now. Long Island Organics Council.
I should have looked it up. Mary Morgan, I believe,
I think
is the
Long
one
Island
that,
Organics Council.
yeah.
And they are promoting, I mean, they're promoting multiple ways of composting, but one of them is a tabletop countertop unit where all your food scraps can go into. And the idea mostly is around not lugging it in your car to a transfer station where it then ends up in a landfill. So what can we collectively do to reduce food waste in general?
That's right. And actually, I bought one of those countertop things, and they're great. I mean, you put all your stuff in it, and it ends up with this little pile overnight. It's so, I mean, we used to have one of those big black things that you stuff, and it took forever, right? But this is a wonderful way. And Mary said that it doesn't use that much electricity, because that was my concern. But she said, no. So we are a full service community.
We are. We try to, we try to listen to the needs of the community and see what we can do to make a difference. And yeah, it's great. And like Sunita, like you said, the circle of all of us working together. But what I love about that is we are all so anxious to make the circle bigger. Like, who else part of this circle to make a difference? Because so many people have ideas, some are the same, and then some are like, whoa, how come nobody's thought of that before? What can we do to add it to the circle, to make it bigger, to get people involved, to build community and to help community? That's what I think is the beauty for all of us being here. And so many of us are transplants, come out here and see, wow, there's community that we can be a part of, and another portion of community that we could help to enrich lives.
I think that Slow Food does a great
makes
job at that. I really do. You guys are amazing.
We all do. We're all doing our part
I
to
mean,
really make a difference.
like you said, Penny,
So
we're
it's
transplants, and
exciting.
whether you come from a city or a different suburb like I came from, there is something magical about the North Fork soil that just draws everybody into living that life off of the earth, right? So whether you're doing your part by having chickens or having a composter or whatever small part you're doing, even if it means you're buying from the small farm stands that are growing in the backyard. So anyway, you're participating, I think
Right.
it's great that we're all doing our part, you know.
Mhm.
I want to go back to how
One more to add is
Right.
NOFO Live. NOFO Live really brings so many different points of view, people who are doing things that we may not be exposed to. And Sunita and Tracy, thank you for that, because wow, I didn't know. Now someone could see that and say, wow, I think I could help make a difference there, whether it's collecting food or finding places. And that's what we found Flower Power to do, brings people
Yes.
together. So thank you for
thank you for that
bringing
compliment. I think Tracy and
all of
I
us.
sort of started this selfishly for our own information and our own connection to the North Fork, but it certainly has grown so much beyond that.
Mm.
But we still every Friday love having a variety of groups on. And just a shout out to whether you're small business, whether you're large business, whether you are on Instagram or not on Instagram, please reach out to us. Come on, because we want to hear and showcase everything there is about the North Fork. So I'm really glad that I feel terrible that Anne wasn't able to hop on. But as she keeps saying, Stephanie, I think you did a great job of speaking for both of you. Also wanted to say, because I had mentioned in a comment earlier, that Garden of Eve was one of the farms that came and donates to you guys. So I wanted to make sure we recognize them.
Yes, Garden of Eve, Wowack, and Andrews. They're just amazing, amazing. Schmitz sometimes, just great, great farms. Wonderful people.
So obviously, in terms of volunteers, you could use help with people that are willing to pick up and drop off, but also logistics, I guess, and social media or like what do you need? Put it out here, and hopefully somebody will watch and reach out and say, I could do that.
Right, right. That's what we need, and really concentrating on donors, and for the winter donors of prepared foods that we can, supplement the produce that will no longer be available.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I will add on the links to the Food Rescue North Fork. I know you also have a Facebook account, correct? So
Yep.
people can share.
Yes, we do. Thanks to Anne. She's
Oh, Anne is
great.
very
She's
good
our
with
social
Facebook.
media
I
expert.
think Instagram locked her out today, otherwise.
Yeah, on the other side.
Penny, thank you for co-hosting with me today.
Thank you
It was a
for
pleasure. I
having us
really enjoyed
and
it.
giving us the opportunity to talk about what we do.
Well, keep up the good work and enjoy this glorious Friday, because it is going to rain. I want to wrap up the report. So rain is coming. Enjoy today, and we'll see you all next Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.